All right, folks. So, what we're going to be talking about here is actually something very, very interesting. So, I remembered this video from Kyle Kulinski that I thought we'd revisit just for the fun of it. This was uploaded on April 22nd. So, it's now November 4th. So, of course, it's been a while since then. It's been like 5, 6 months since then. So, it's been a reasonable amount of time. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to also talk more about the Kamala Harris campaign and where it is going. And just the sheer, just craziness and insanity of what really has, happened, transpired with her campaign, because it certainly surprised even myself. So, Kyle Kulinski made this video. It's titled "The Biggest Challenger to Bernie Will Be." Of course, because everybody was trying to figure out who's going to be that centrist or neoliberal, whatever you want to call them, who's going to end up being essentially the challenge for Bernie Sanders at the end of the election. So, Kyle Kulinski gave his thoughts. Let's hear it out.
I think that her answer was actually even better than his. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't believe a word Kamala Harris says, and I think that in office she would basically immediately give the farm away and say, yeah, did I say Medicare for all? Okay, we'll negotiate down to public option. And then that'll probably be watered down to slightly expand Obamacare or something. So I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all, but she is politically savvy, that's for sure. And I'm calling it now. Kamala Harris will be the centrist that gives Bernie a run in the primary. I don't know how close she'll come. I don't know how well she'll do overall. But I don't think it'll be Beto O'Rourke that gives Bernie a run. I don't think it'll be Mayor Pete that gives Bernie a run. I don't think it'll be Biden who's going to announce soon. I don't think he's going to give him a run. So that's why I had to record this video real quick. I made my mind up, and I'm crystal clear on it now. I think Kamala's going to be the one to give Bernie a little bit of a run because she's politically savvy. And there were a bunch of tripwire questions for Bernie tonight.
So, as you just heard from Kyle, he believed that the person who was actually going to give Bernie the run for his money was Kamala Harris. Now, the election isn't decided yet, but looking at the numbers right now, which I'm going to show you in a second, as well as what her campaign is now doing, you can very clearly tell it's over, it's a wrap. And they basically know it. They really pretty much do. And I'll tell you exactly why that is. But when we look at, and we're going to come back to that in a second actually, when we look at these RCP numbers, and these are what you always want to look at, you want to look at these aggregate numbers. It gives you the best sort of measure as to what the data is and what's going on. So when we look at this, when Harris, sort of got to this point, she was doing all right. And she really peaked. Remember, after that, I believe it was the first debate, the first one that had 2 nights. And, she really sort of went after Joe Biden and did a pretty good job in the people's eyes. And that's why she went from 7 to 15. I believe this right here was when the debate happened. And, as you can see from this chart, she literally ate into his support. His support directly went down as hers went through the roof at 15.2. But when you look at these numbers, she has tanked from there. She barely even stood at 15.2 for like a week or 2, week and a half, basically. So she barely had that. And then it went down and Warren started to go up. Warren would eat into Kamala's support as well as Biden's support a bit. So it's sort of a mix of theirs that was getting eaten into. And as you can see now, folks, Kamala, and she's still going down. So, I don't think you guys understand how bad this is, guys. She's not even top 4. There's really a three-person race at this point between Biden, Warren, and Bernie. Kamala's got no chance. It's over. So, I want to tell you that, yeah, we're only in November, obviously, but there is no chance. Think about it this way, dude. She's polling at 0.8 higher than Andrew Yang. Now, considering Andrew Yang's circumstances, averaging a 2.8 is actually impressive. But that's considering Andrew Yang's circumstances. He was a random guy who, started out on Sam Harris's podcast and stuff like that. That's how we got to know who he was. Kamala Harris is a senator who's been, very well known in terms of name recognition. So this is extremely embarrassing. Okay, 3.6. You're not in double digits. You're not even close to double digits. You're closer to 0 than you are to 10. So you're talking about really being low. And so while, yeah, it's just November, I'm telling you right now, funny, you use his words, I'm calling right now, she's not winning jack. Like, she's not going anywhere. She's going to have to drop out pretty early. As you can see, this is a consistent trend for a long period of time. This is a trend that has been happening since July. So it's even more of a stable downpour. It's not like a quick drop off and it's like, oh, that may rebound. Nah, dude, this is a steep, consistent overtime drop, okay? And I can't believe that Mayor Pete, whose entire campaign is fake, what I mean by that is the mainstream media is the one propping him up all the time to pretend like he's got real support, is polling much, much better than him. You're talking about he's closer to 10 than he is to 0. Kamala Harris can't say the same. So that's obviously very troublesome. But, when Kamala Harris came on the scene, I did think that she was going to be a bigger threat than she is now. I certainly, and I have to tell you this, I did not see things unfolding like this. I did not see Kamala Harris tanking all the way down to, being closer to 0 than she is to 10. I didn't see that happening. I didn't see single digits even, a consistent downfall. I didn't see any of that stuff. I didn't see any of it. I can't lie to you folks. I just simply didn't see it coming. I didn't see it happening, and I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't either. So I guess we had to give Kyle some leniency in that, but he seemed pretty strong in his position. Now, when I mentioned earlier about how you can kind of tell that the campaign is just sort of, basically it's over pretty much, this is an article that came out just about 3 days ago. It says Kamala Harris fires entire New Hampshire campaign field team. This is bad, folks. It says Kamala Harris has reportedly axed her entire campaign field team in New Hampshire the same day fellow struggling Democratic candidate Beto O'Rourke announced he would end his bid for the nomination. The Harris campaign closed all 3 of her field offices in the state and laid off more than 10 workers. A handful of staffers will run a scaled-down campaign out of the Manchester headquarters. Harris no longer plans to head to the Granite State to file for the primary in person, and instead will mail in her declaration of candidacy, according to the report. Senator Harris and the team set out one goal: to win the nomination and defeat Donald Trump in 2020. To do so, the campaign has made a strategic decision to realign resources and go all in on Iowa. Oh my goodness, this stuff is really, really hilarious. So this quote right here, that it's like, we have this one goal to beat Donald Trump, win this. That's the exact same thing I remember hearing from Beto right before he dropped out, a couple weeks before he dropped out. So, seems to be a bit of a trend going on here with that kind of statement. But, when you're so set in on just the first state, which is Iowa, it means that it's over. When you're laying off people in the second state in the primary, that means that you're really in trouble and you're in a position where you're so desperate and, you're really in desperate measures type of situation that you basically know your campaign's done for. You're trying to hang on for dear life, because if you go back to these RCP numbers, guys, she's not that far off from Beto's numbers. Like, Beto, right before he dropped out, was at like 2.3, somewhere around there, is where he was at, 2.0 right here. And, she's at 3.9. That's talking about like 2-point differential. That's nothing. That's literally nothing. So, what you're looking at here is, just like Beto dropped out, she's going to have to drop out eventually. Now, when is she going to drop out? Probably shortly after New Hampshire. I really don't see her getting much support in Iowa or New Hampshire. I mean, she's getting virtually no support nationwide whatsoever. Nobody seems to support her, which is great. I don't like Kamala Harris, obviously. I felt like it did a pretty good job of trying to go through all of her, past and everything on this channel. It's a very scary past and a very scary person, a shapeshifter. Again, not like the Alex Jones type of shapeshifter, but you know what I'm talking about. And a lot of these things that we have seen are extremely cringe. She's been doing a lot of dancing, which is just extremely, extremely cringe. Um, One Nation Under a Groove. And this is not the only video. Apparently, there's a bunch of other videos where she's dancing with like other people. But I mean, this isn't a hallmark of a failing campaign. I really don't know what is, folks. This is just embarrassing. Oh my goodness. While Kyle was wrong, I kind of don't blame him for his prediction. It seemed to be, according to the data at hand and just the sort of basic logic that existed, it seemed to be the right pick. But interestingly enough, looks like it didn't end up happening that way. I have to say, I did not expect the Kamala Harris campaign to turn out this way. And I also did not expect Elizabeth Warren to do so well at all. I actually kind of thought their roles would be reversed, is what I felt like. But let me know your thoughts on this down below. Very curious to hear them.